Hello everybody and welcome to Organian's Puzzle Box. In today's video I have something very special for you. I am going to create an effect like the one that you see behind me in Blender using procedural noises, and this is going to give us the scrolling effect of ancient or alien text, or matrix like text, if you will. It's not exactly accurate, it's all gibberish, but it obviously is going to allow you to further enhance your space scenes, or maybe your spaceship, or maybe you want to have ancient text on walls or things like that. So this particular method is going to help you with all of that, and it's also going to expand a little bit on your knowledge for shader nodes, procedural nodes. Maybe you don't know how to use them, maybe you're intimidated, but this tutorial should be able to clear all of that. If you'd like to support the Organian's Puzzle Box platform, the community, and so on, take a look at my Patreon page, because for the price of a coffee, you can get access to over 50 projects in both Unreal Engine or Blender, generally space-related stuff that I make, but also you can join our Discord server if you want to have a conversation and learn more about what we do, and get access to more tutorials and more tips and tricks for Unreal Engine and for Blender. But with that said, let's begin the tutorial. Okay, so here we are in the Blender scene that I've got set up, and you can see in here we have the characters kind of moving around based on an animation of a shader node. So this is a very simple, as I said, simple approach, but it works really well. You can use it on screens, maybe in a ship or on a wall panel. You could also use them as ancient text, perhaps, maybe not with an emissive material, but just simply maybe like a normal material, maybe on stone or anything like that. Obviously, this is procedurally generated, so it can look in however many, in many different ways. So let's just actually begin setting up the shader again. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to multiply this plane here. So the whole shader is sitting on a normal plane. Just add a plane in Blender, nothing fancy. Obviously, this world here is running in Eevee, and I have just a panel here that's using a full metallic material, just so we can get like this reflection. So with the plane, I'm just going to go into the material and remove it, and then I can add a new material to it, a blank material, so we can start fresh. I'm just going to open a panel right here on this side, and going to change this to a shader editor. Okay, so when we look at it, we do want to keep our principal BSDF in here because we're going to run everything through it. And I am going to add quickly a color ramp. And the color ramp will be used, obviously the color of it will be used for both emission and color. And we're going to give it a strength of 1. And now what we're really doing here is we're basically blending between black and white. And this white can obviously be whatever color you want, but we will leave it as white for now. Now the factor of the color ramp is where we're going to play with our nodes. So if we actually go in here and take like a wave texture, for example, and we take the factor of that and drive it into the color ramp, then obviously we're already getting something, right? Now, straight off the bat, I am going to set the scale of this to something like 0. Because, well, actually, I'm not going to set it to 0. I'm going to put a value of 8, but I'm basically going to use a value node. And this value node, going to set it to 8, sorry. And we're going to plug it into the scale. This kind of determines just how big our sort of like black bars are going to be, or white bars, depending on if we're inverting that or not. In terms of detail, we're going to leave that to 2, and actually everything here we're going to leave the way it is. If you want, you can look at this phase offset, which gives you an idea of some of the animation that you can do by playing with it. But for now, we're going to leave it as, set to 0. Now, obviously, you can change these bands from either X or Y or Z. Z doesn't do anything, so we're only going to play with X and Y, or you could try a diagonal if you want to. But for me, I'm going to use X, I'm going to leave it as sine, and I'm going to leave it as bands. You can obviously change this to rings if you want, but rings is not going to work as intended. And this is because we're obviously, wave texture is now generating in rings, and when you look at some of the stuff that you can change in here, it's kind of going like that in a ring. So we're going to use bands. Now the next thing that we want to do is add in some texture coordinate here. And you want to use the UV of the plane for this coordinate. I am going to add a mapping node right here in between. So I'm going to connect the vector over to this wave texture like this. And this allows us to basically play with the location. So we can do X for, moving in that way. You can't change any other direction because we are pushing it through the we are only, as I said, playing around with the x-axis on this, but you can rotate it. So for example, with a z, you could put this to like 90 degrees, which has rotated now the bands, but you could have also rotated the bands by going here and changing the band's direction, right? But this is why I want to add this mapping node, because it just adds more convenience to our, to our setup. You can also use the scale here of the x-axis again to change that. Now, obviously, if we change to y, from x to y, then the y here from the mapping vector will work instead of the x, right? So bear that in mind. Now it's time to create some of the noise pattern magic. So we are literally going to add a noise texture here. By the way, you could use a Musgrave texture here, but if you're using a newer version of Blender, sorry, you're not going to have a Musgrave texture anymore. You are only going to have the noise texture. So with this, I'm going to set it to 4D and leave it as FBM. And I want to take its factor. It's going to be used with this other wave texture. But before we kind of get there, let's just do a few adjustments. So this value node, I want to connect it to a multiply node like this. And I want to multiply this by a value of 8. So every time we're running this value, we want to multiply by 8 here and then run this into our scale of this noise texture. And obviously the same UV from the texture coordinate will go into the vector of this noise texture as well. The values themselves, like the detail and all that, we're going to change the detail to 0, roughness to 1, and we're going to leave, well, distortion to minus 2.1 for now, but the rest we're going to change based on what sort of result we're getting, okay? Now, the next thing, for the wave texture itself, we want to add a less than node over here, and we want to do a less than 1. Basically, that's what we're trying to compare. And this less than 1 value is literally going to go into a compare node. So with the compare node, we want to use the less than as the as this value over here, and the second value will be the actual wave texture itself. So we're doing a less than calculation first, and the first value less than 1. And then we're going to do this other compare over here like that. And this is going to feed into, I mean, for example, it could feed into the factor over there, right? Like that. And you can see that if we change something here, it doesn't really, I mean, it's literally inverting between the two values. So this is why we're trying to use this epsilon here from the noise texture to kind of determine the noise in between our shapes. So you can kind of see that the noise is now starting to shape up. And this is where things like distortion over onto this noise texture is going to affect how these bands are going to look like. Now, the next thing that, well, actually, one of the last things we want to do is also do a subtract node. So we're going to add a subtract node over here. And we want to basically subtract 1, the value of 1, out of this compare node, and that will go into our factor. And you will notice now that, well, you're going to notice what's going to happen once we start playing with some of these some of these details as we change them. And then we're also going to do the color over here on the color ramp. Okay, now quickly go and disable normalize from here like that. And we're kind of starting to see the effect that we're going for. So everything is now white, the part that is going to be black on the left side. So you can go in here and change that white to, for example, black, okay? And then you can take this black from this end and turn this into a bright color. Wait, sorry, I'm doing the same color. I wanted to select this bit. For some reason, it won't let me do it. So going to make this white as well, but instead maybe make it red. And then this white here can now become black, as an example. Now we can go to our emission strength and maybe do like a value of 5 or something like that, right? And all of a sudden, you now have this same effect on both of these, right? And you can then go over to distortion if you want, and you can distort these characters like that. You can obviously play with a phase offset like I've showed you earlier. You can also play with the time on this noise texture, which is what I'm actually doing here. So in this other one, I'm using this node, this noise. You can see it right here at the bottom on this timeline. It's just simply going from a value of 0 to a value of 1. and it's going to it in a interpolation mode, in a linear interpolation mode. So it's effectively changing its animation at the same speed across the timeline playback. So then we can select this again, and again you can have a look at this distortion over here, and as you can see, as we change that, you can get various different shapes as you do it. So some of this stuff kind of looks very ancient or alien or something, or gibberish effectively, but from a distance it could be very nice for your, as I said, for your science fiction kind of project, maybe ship panels or anything, because this material is so easy then to apply to something else. Like for example, I could add a cube over here, right? And we can, this material is material 003. I can just go in here and just say to Blender, you know what, use material 003. So now this cube has the same characters. Obviously the scale is a little bit different, but that's not going to stop you from just playing with the scale. And you could make this scale, by the way, based on the object size as well. So you could use the object texture coordinate. I mean, you know, sometimes you can just kind of change that. See, so I've just changed to the object texture coordinate. And again, you can, then it doesn't, I think the only drawback here is the scale. Then you have to like, you know, you'll see that one side is not good, while this other side is good. So one axis is fine. Well, two axes are fine, but the third axis isn't. So then you have to kind of, you know, change the shader code in such a way that it allows for all axes to work fine. But as you can see, just by using the object UV, you now get the same type of, you get the same scale of the characters across two different objects, right? Rather than when you do it based on UVs themselves, now it's very large on the cube. You can also try with generated. So as you can see now, it's a bit odd how again, it's maintaining the same scale, but it's odd that it has nothing on this side and a lot of noise on this side. Okay, so there's a lot of ways to do it. You can even do it by normal, by the normals themselves, but because I think none of these have smoothing groups, you're not going to really be able to see that. So you might want to be able to do like shade smooth, but this is going to give you a whole different effect now because it's just using the shade smooth data of the normal. But again, just using UVs, that's fine. Just make sure that you then play around with the scale of this in such a way that it makes sense for various different objects. But that's kind of it, really. That's kind of the end of this setup. I hope you really learned something here. So I hope you guys found that useful. Thank you to all my patrons. Thank you to all my YouTube supporters, to my Discord people, everybody who's contributing every day to help me create more content. Thank you for watching. Keep creating and share with us what you've made.